Hey there, Dr. Chad McDill here with you with Health Second Opinion, and looking forward to yet another little excerpt about how we can reach our life potential. I think that so much, even more so this time of year, here it is in the late January, and we're getting ready for, I should say, late December. See, I'm already into next year. That we're getting ready for January and next year, and thinking about our new beginnings and the things that we want, things that we thought we would already have, things that we were expecting to be, and then the realization of where we are. And that can be further along, it can be exactly what you thought, and or it could be some other version of it. And the reality is that most of us acknowledge the fact that it's some other version of it. But is it still alignment with your health goals, your life goals? And so as I think about this life potential, I find it daily by the amount of patients that come in and they say, "Hey doc, like yesterday, new patient, she came in and she said, I'm here because my body's not functioning right. I'm having shoulder pain and arm numbness and hand numbness and my legs going to sleep." And it's just this laundry list that she rattled off. And then she said, um, "Is that enough of the labyrinth of my problem?" And well, yeah, I guess, as long as you feel that it is. But I appreciate the language that you use because of how interwoven and yet messed up and all of these things that are going on with this person, and wanted to ask the most important question, which is, do you believe you are still capable of a better life, of being well and having health potential and life potential? Or do you believe things are just going to get worse? And it's this acknowledgement that we all have, and that we have to see where our mindset is. And then our mindset is the filter that all of our actions are made out of. Our paradigm of thinking determines the reaction to the situation that will determine our outcomes. So many of us forget that this law of cause and effect is in action in every single thing. And through this past Sunday's message at church, and then my stuff that went on today, it just sort of at home, it just sort of resonated even more clear that we have to acknowledge that we sometimes think that the plan that God had and that is in action was kind of more of a olden biblical thing, but it is in action today. And this plan is unfolding, and there's a beginning and an end, and it is our role to continue to try to live to the potential that we have and to get the results that we want. Are we willing to do what is necessary to obtain what is possible? So this morning, well, last night, really tired, exhausted from work, and just got home. Felt like I'd been running at 100 miles an hour, and got home, and it was in a very unusual night because so tired and just so exhausted mentally and physically. And I literally got home and just sat down and ate dinner with the kids, and had a good meal, but was just in such a state that I really couldn't participate, and wasn't much, um, there wasn't much joy there. And unfortunately, my kids had to experience that pretty rare event. And then it was just, hey, look, I'm going to do the dishes and go downstairs and veg out, and I got nothing. Anybody wants to join me, fine. And that's it. And then the conversation was, look, I need to sleep in and I got to get some rest. I got to recharge because I want to be my best at the office tomorrow. And that just ain't going to happen unless I get some extra rest. And so what did that translate into, in all transparency? The fact is that that meant that usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm taking my kids to school and I'm waking up to cook them breakfast because the other days, I'm already gone and I'm at work before they're waking up usually. And so, uh, that was one of my days. And so what did that translate into? It wasn't just my getting home and not being in a great mood and just not participating in the family life. It was that now I didn't get to take my kids to school. I didn't have that interaction cooking breakfast. And so it really, my lack of energy, my lack of life potential had these ramifications. And it's totally fine, a one-off, right? Every once in a while, man, that's how life is. And we have to give ourselves some grace to be okay with that. But the thing that really bugged me was this is what a lot of people who make it into my office are experiencing on a daily basis. And even more alarming is that there are millions of people. So they're experiencing the same thing, but on a daily basis. And their lives, therefore, are a fraction of the joy and the expression of their potential. And so whether it's daily headaches or lack of energy or pain, or it's just a state of brain fog or exhaustion and stress, and God knows we've all been more stressed lately. And with the last 2 years, 2 weeks to flatten the curves turned into 2 years. We all understand that there's just this heightened level of stress and this heightened level of, fear and all of these things that are just snuffing out people's life potential and allowing our mindsets and our paradigms to shift from one of potential to one of survival. And I just can't believe that. So if 10% of the world is going to see chiropractors on a regular basis, and or 10% of the United States, so it's like 33 million. So there's 330 million people in America. So with that being said, some stats that you ought to know that let you about the rest of the United States is that we're less than 5% of the world's population, but we take 75% of the world's drugs. We're one of 2 countries that allow for the advertisement of pharmaceutical drugs. Us and New Zealand, of which have both some of the worst health standards. And the United States rates last in all the industrialized countries' healthcare measures, system, outcomes, disease, life expectancies, and maternal mortality and infant mortality. And so this shows us that the life potential is not being met. And that's a huge a wake-up call for me, and a spurring to do a better job explaining exactly how chiropractic and Max Living plays a role in helping people to reach their life potential. Because whether it's this thing of whether we look at this list that I talked about, chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue or diabetes or heart disease or all of these things, I have to frame them back to this constant story that's evolving, that like Alan again, that just continues to blow my mind, that on his birthday not too long ago, he came in and got adjusted and said, hey, on my birthday, or for my birthday, yesterday, I went to the doctor and they've taken me off the liver stage failure list. Like, so he has changed everything. He's implemented the Max Living principles, the chiropractic principles, and he has changed his entire life, which that is what the five essentials are for. And they give you a framework to address how to do all the things that you need to do to be able to literally remove the interference to the expression of the very life that's flowing through your body. And like Alan, who has gotten off his blood pressure medication and his cholesterol medication, and changed his nutrition and changed how he exercised and changed the frequency and the type of adjustments that he was getting and how he was doing his home care and all this stuff. And his mindset to, I want to live to my potential instead of to survive, because he thought, if I'm on a liver transplant list, I might not survive. And took that interaction with that doctor to, but he had this frame to say, this experience that I know where I can go. I have the resources at, Dr. Chad's office to change all these things, such that now he's reversed his stage 4 liver failure. And he's off all his meds. And he's lost 60 pounds. And he's now no longer in a stage of liver failure. He's got, some fatty liver disease, to which the doctors are saying, look, at this rate, by the end of next year, that'll be gone too, because you're already making more progress than we've ever seen in someone in your age. How cool is that, right? I mean, and the question becomes, what's other people's story? He's doing it. That means anyone can do it. I love quoting people like Dr. Reggie Gold and saying, he's saying that there are no such things as incurable diseases. If one person has lived through it, then it's curable. There are many incurable patients because they've allowed their bodies to go through too much time and too much degeneration. So that's the question. And so one of the things that's always an option is what's your mindset, and what do you want, and who do you have in your corner? And so many people, they end up in my office with all this laundry list of symptoms, just like Alan, and he started for a car accident, and look at this, reversing liver failure, right? And these are the things that we have to ask ourselves is how are you doing? How are you measuring your health? And do you know if the most important system in your body is giving the rest of your body the potential to function properly? And the question is, if we look at this, and every single organ, tissue has to be organized. All the cells in a given tissue have to be organized into the organ. Then that organ goes into organ systems, like the digestive system. And then that system has to be balanced and coordinated with the cardiovascular system and the muscular system and every other system, the endocrine system. And every single thing has to be organized by your brain. And that brain is communicating through the life force that flows from above, down, inside, and out, from above the brain, down through the spinal cord, from inside of that cord, outside out to the body, and to create that organization, that synchronization, so that your body can have regeneration and function to a potential. And if the nervous system is compromised, then all other systems are compromised. Nothing can work at 100%. It's like my poor friend, I really apologize. He has a space on the end of the building down here, and he was, I'm doing work on part of it, and I didn't know that his power was running off of power that was running where I needed to shut off so we could replace some electrical receptacles. And he was doing a job that was going on in the background, and we shut the power off to the building. and all his equipment went down, and now his job went down and nothing works. And of course, we've turned the power back on, but now he's got to get that whole job reset up and going on the printing machine. And that really stinks. But like, how many other people are functioning at 80%? Maybe it's just the dimmer switch due to subluxation, due to misalignments of their spine, that so many of us make quotes, right? We all say, oh, well, we only use 10% of our brain. And I think a more accurate perception of that is our conscious decisions. We have approximately 100,000 thoughts a day, but only about 10,000 of them are novel thoughts, meaning new thoughts. So most of the things that we're doing are autopilot. And on the inside, that same thing is going on. Only about 90%, or I should say only about 10% of the body's function is conscious decisions to catch a ball or to write or to walk or to jog, or like the reason I'm dressed like I am today is I just got back from the 4 fields and working out, and making sure that my cardiovascular system, my exercise and oxygen is functioning as close to 100% as possible. And so that's, that none of that happened, but that was all conscious decisions. But all of the heart rate changes, I was looking at it and checking on my watch, my smart watch here, that I was operating somewhere between 160 to 173 beats a second while I was running and doing all my calisthenics and all my core body exercises. And so I know that that's up into the 96th percentile of what my max heart rate should be, quote unquote. But because of my current level of fitness, my heart rate and things is better. Well, circle back to that. How are you measuring your function? And have you ever had someone analyze how your nervous system is doing? Like the other new patient yesterday said, he's like, man, I've gone to chiropractors my entire life and no one's ever talked to me about this. Like, I'm looking at that chart and thinking about all the stuff that I have going on in different areas where I know I have pain and problems. Why didn't anybody else tell me about this? Honest answer, I don't know. They were lazy. Maybe they didn't think you cared. Maybe they didn't think you valued your health enough to take their time. Maybe they just didn't want to take the time. I don't know. But in our office, and every other Max Living office around the country, our job is to look at you as one of God's children that has a life potential and a purpose and a family and someone else that can live to more of their potential and be a light to the world that says that if one person can do it, so many others can too. And be the next Alan. And, be the person who reverses something that so many other people thought was uncurable. And without drugs and surgery, right? We're taught that our bodies are kind of, the paradigm is that we're expendable and that the human body has replaceable parts. And that's just crap. It's stinking thinking. And we're taught to use our bodies up in the pursuit of money. And then the end of our lives is we spend all our money trying to regain our health because we used our bodies up. And it's just such a bad investment model. You don't build your house on sinking sand. You build your house upon the rock. And in the same reference to our spiritual well-being and those biblical principles, there are principles that govern health and well-being, and how much this life force that God gave us that flows from above down, inside out, that started from the moment of conception and flows through us, organizing the regeneration and the life expression. that has that force that's traveling through our body is at 100%. The potential's there, but is it being transmitted or is it being altered through subluxation? And do you even know you have that going on? Do you know if your children have that going on? Has anyone ever checked? Even if you're going to a chiropractor, has the chiropractor talked to you about how close to normal things are and what you can do to get back there to improve your life expression? And then is there the conversation about the weather and go Georgia Bulldogs or whatever, or, I don't know. Or is it about things that matter? You're only in there a couple of minutes. With those couple of minutes, like another patient that we took time to talk about who just got over a cardiac quadruple bypass. I said, hey man, you've been here for years. I'm sorry, but this obviously says you haven't changed certain things in your life. I don't want to talk anymore about other things. Let's talk nutrition and exercise for the rest of your life so you never have to go through this again, because you're a young guy that have had to go through that. And he looked at me like I electrocuted. And he woke up and he said, yeah, like, okay. And I just threw out a couple of things and he just repeated them back to me and said, okay, yeah, I'm not doing any of that. I'll go home and change those things. Bam, it's a start. Because he's had a wake-up call. And the question is are you waiting for a wake-up call? Are you waiting for your children to have some kind of tragedy? Or are you wanting to invest in your health to reach a potential? And is that mindset what you're walking into your next year with? Or are you in the, it ain't broke, don't fix it, right, mindset? But how do you know if it's broken? And why would you wait till it is broken? You can't buy a new you. We only get this one body, this one vehicle, this tissue, this to go through life with, to which is the vehicle to which our soul, we are, spiritual beings having a physical experience. And this is that vehicle that you travel with, and you can't replace it. And our children can't get a new one either. And so are we building potential? Are we investing so that, like so many people, like one of the things, let's see how much time I have. Oh, great. One of the things that's just another shocking wake-up call for me is that I have a patient who currently is at UAB, and she is fighting for her life with COVID. And it's just not somebody I would have thought. And it's just like, even me, the doctor, I'm like looking at this person and they were good with their adjustments, but I think of the things that had slacked off due to stress and the extra stress and the things that they weren't doing. And I think that, what if there had been better conversations about less about what was going on in the world and more about what they could be doing to get rebooted into getting back into the gym and getting back down to their ideal weight, and to are they eating right, or how they deal with all this extra stress. And I think about these things, and I think about even my potential to really just pour into them. I'm really just praying that we get another chance. And I don't want that to be any of you or any of your families. And I just think that we've got to change our focus and get back to the principles that govern our lives, and it's cause and effect. And are you measuring your health potential? Do you know what's controlling your body, how healthy that nervous system is? How often are you exercising, and what kind? Are you eating a healthy anti-inflammatory diet? Do you even know what that is? How's your stress levels? What are you doing to manage it? And how often? How are you measuring all of these things? And do you have a person in your life, a doctor who's holding you accountable and helping coach you through all of these things for you, your family? Do you know that it's even available? If you're listening to the show, you do. But do other people? And how many other people deserve to have this? So that's next year for me. That's the rest of the life. It's always been there. But just like any other human, we fluctuate between our abilities to deliver it. And so therein lies the motivation to where I'm coming from. And what I want for my patients and my family. And the question is what do you want? And are you willing to do what is necessary to obtain what is possible? Be blessed. Let us know how we can help you. Hope to see you at the office.